Now, some people say that you can't compare the two. Donald Glover even said that it bothers him when Dave is compared to Alana, and that neither is better or worse than the other. But I do what I want, especially since I can't have any type of idol. Bro, what is he doing? And I do understand they're very different, so I have to ditch my traditional method of comparing movies and instead focus on what they could learn from each other. First, I want to start off with what Dave does better. There's less anthology episodes. There's kind of the GaTa episode, but that barely counts as an anthology. Season 3 of Atlanta gets very comfortable just following random characters. And my problem is I don't like anthologies just because the quality is never consistent. In my opinion, The Big Payback isn't very good. It has a cool idea, but it's basically a high school level thought experiment that isn't fully realized. I am writing this before the season's over, so if the themes and ideas of the anthology might make more sense with like a final episode or something, I don't know. But since this episode isn't funny like the iconic Dave Chappelle skit, we, the audience, are forced to think of the intricacies of this world, and that's when it starts to fall apart because it just barely makes sense. Even though I really like that the stories are in Atlanta, even if the gang isn't. And I also really enjoyed Trinity to the Bone and also Rich Wigga, Poor Wigga. Even though I do have problems with it, I do like it. Like, the actual problem with one-off episodes is it really has to be a masterpiece to be appreciated by fans. The more research I do into Trinity to the Bone, the more I realize just how much this episode speaks to Trinidadian people. Because I'm seeing a lot of people say season 3 is the worst season. But a lot of people are getting a very intimate story that finally speaks to them. But to be fair, the GaTa episode from Dave also had an incredible idea. Like, the idea of a clinically depressed hype man might be one of the greatest ideas I've ever heard. It's just so tragically ironic, but it fails the execution. They could have covered how he turned his quote-unquote disability into a job that he's really good at, but they reduced their most interesting character to a generic after-school PSA message. Even though I'm hating, its acting is very sincere, and GaTa is like a fan favorite, so I do like him. Something that Atlanta does better is music selection. Now, something smart Atlanta does is that we barely hear Paperboy's music, but Dave is constantly filled with Lil Dicky's music, and I'm not a fan. I mean, some songs in season 2 are alright, I guess, but I just don't think it's good. And the problem with it is that a show like Barry, without any dialogue, it has the fictional actors acting their hearts out, and you could feel how sincere their performances are. But instead of just telling you how good something is, it shows you. And this show kind of tells you that it's good, but sometimes it says actually it was bad. It's kind of conflicted. I just can't tell if the show thinks the music is good or not. And unlike most people who hate on Lil Dicky, I actually listened to his first album, and I just can't take him that seriously just because even Dave himself doesn't like the music. He literally says,
I'm trying to get the fucking fame and it's a tricky little game. My favorite type of music, and the shit I like to bump is not the type I'm brewing.
He doesn't make the kind of music he wants to. And if you're not making the kind of music that you want to, why are you doing it? Just for fame. But ignoring all that, even the selection of music is bad. Like, in season 1, they play a lot of rap music, and in episode 7, the song Earthquake is played, which I really like the song, I think it's good, but it just doesn't fit into the scene. Now, in season 2, the show uses way less rap music, and interestingly enough, it all feels like it fits. But compared to Atlanta, they constantly have rap music playing, and it always feels like it fits. It never feels like a song was just thrown in. And Atlanta actually puts some thought into the music it uses. Like, in the season 1 finale, we follow Earn finding a key to a storage locker, revealing just how down bad he was. But while he's walking to the storage locker, the song Elevator plays. The song is about Andre 3000 and Big Boy performing at dead clubs and not getting paid enough. Then the song flash forwards to after Outkast releases their first album and they're still not getting paid, even though they're kind of famous. They're in this weird middle point in their career. It kinda sums up the whole show, how Earn is constantly losing and any victories reveals more problems. Throughout season 1, he's trying to earn money, but he's constantly failing and forced to get help from people like Al. But when he finally gets paid, it's revealed that he's literally homeless and he has a long road ahead of himself. It's crazy how a guy named Earn can't earn money. But the way the song ends is, since they're getting better at rapping, they'll just keep going. Season 3, we could see that Earn ends up making money and all he had to do was keep going. But to be fair, I do have to give props to Dave's Alley song. It works well, and when it comes back in season 2, it tells us without any dialogue that Dave is probably never going to get a girl like Allie again, and he's paying for the consequences of his actions. So yeah, that was a pretty good song. Another thing that Dave does better than Alana is Dave is less serious than Alana. Now, Alana doesn't take itself super seriously, but in season 2 and 3, there's way more horror episodes than I would have expected, than anyone would have expected. It was a cool surprise in season 2, but now you don't know what you're going to get. I do like that Alana doesn't get boxed into a specific genre and it has the freedom to do whatever it wants, but sometimes I want to know what to expect. With Dave, I always know what to expect. But interestingly enough, season 2 of Dave does try new things. Like whenever the music swells, the editing gets quicker and people's voices start to overlap, it does start to get kind of intense. And it visualizes how Dave's anxiety is affecting him. Even though it does feel forced and loses impact after episode 3 of season 2, I still thought it was good. And this next point is gonna sound kind of weird, but there's a comfort in dick jokes and repetitive awkward humor. This point is kind of also point for how generic it is. It's kind of like how people like to rewatch episodes of Seinfeld, Parks and Rec. They're easy to watch because you just know what to expect and you don't have to go in blind. There's also more consistency, like I said with the anthology. Some episodes are really good, some episodes are really bad. Dave, season 1 is just consistently, bad for the most part, but season 2 is actually somewhat kind of decent. But my last point to make is Atlanta's efficiency. Efficiency is kind of a broad topic, but it's here to highlight how impressive the writing is for Atlanta, with its setups and payoffs. Like in season 2, the premiere had Uncle Willie giving Earn a gold-plated gun, telling him that he will need this in the music business if he does not want to end up like him. Now, this is a creative play on Chekhov's gun. I think I'm saying that right? I don't know, maybe who knows? Where if you say in the first chapter, there's a rifle hanging on the wall, in the second or third chapter, it absolutely must go off. If it's not going to be fired, it shouldn't be hanging there. Normally in a movie, when you see a gun, you expect it to be shot. But at the end of season 2 of Atlanta, it's a metaphorical shot. When Earn needs the gun to save his own ass and fuck over another rapper, he does it. It clearly shows us Earn's growth as a character. And in season 3, there's an Easter egg saying that Clark County actually got arrested. It could be connected or not. I don't know. That's the beauty of Atlanta. You never know what's happening or why it's happening. On the other hand, you have Dave. I don't really care for Dave. He's written like Larry David from Curb Your Enthusiasm, but in that show, Larry David is a bad person, and the show knows it. We are never asked to care for him. Him being in bad situations is what makes the show funny. But Dave expects you to care for Dave, and I just can't root for him. However, I do care for GaTa, but his story is so rushed and slapped together in season 2. All of the side characters are barely mentioned. It kind of felt like a waste to have them in season 1. But I did want to just compare the two, and obviously, I do think Atlanta's way better, but it's interesting that they're both on the quote-unquote fearless FX network, because Atlanta does take a lot of risks, and I feel like every week with the anthology episodes, it's just risking all of its viewers, and I do think the ratings are going down, but I do love that the writing team of Atlanta gets complete freedom, and it's kind of beautiful to see their stories being told, because I don't think anywhere else would just allow this randomness. Like the fact that Kevin Samuels was in an episode, just insane, and then Liam Neeson. It's just genuinely shocking, incredible moments that the show has. But on the other hand, you have Dave, pretty generic comedy show that follows pretty much everything. But overall, I do like both shows. Dave does have its moments, like that scene with Drake. That was just absolutely hilarious. It is kind of cool. Kind of like the raunchy Seth Rogen comedies we get in the 2000s and early 2010s. We just don't get like shows like that anymore. But I don't know. I just sometimes with Dave, I don't know if it's telling a joke or not. I don't know. There's just sometimes where I'm just very unamused. I just don't find it funny. But yeah, those are just my thoughts. Do you agree with me? Do you think Dave is better? Comment down below. Hope we can discuss it or whatever. But yeah, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And thank you for watching.